Okay, Maxim, today we're gonna be talking about knights, yeah? So horsey move like little bit L-shape, 2 to side, 1 up, or maybe 2 up, 1 to side, but never put on side of board because then it's Papega, so don't do this. Coach, what? What you say? What is Papega? I don't understand this.
Chat, what is today? Sorry, I don't actually know what is today. Like Sunday, Monday? What? It's Monday. Oh, right, Monday. Okay. Sorry, you guys. So chat, going into this round, I think I have it. Yeah, let me pop up the standings so you guys have an idea. So going into today's round, I was playing in Group A of the Chessable Masters, and the top 4 players qualify. So if you look at the standings, after day 1, the first 5 games, or first 5 games. Sorry, we played everybody one time. I was in 4th place on 2.5 out of 5, and I would qualify. So I would qualify if I held the placement, but it was very important. As you see, Grishik on 2 out of 5, so very, very difficult situation to qualify if I didn't get off to a good start. So all right, guys, so let's start game 1 against Magnus, 6th round of the tournament. So d4, knight f6 played. 1 second. So d4, knight f6 played here. Magnus goes c4. I go e6 here. Knight f3. And now I play pawn to d5. Magnus plays knight c3. I go bishop e7. Bishop f4. Castles. Magnus plays pawn to a3 here. It's definitely one of the lines that's been played. I actually played this myself in clutch chess. What is cut off? Nothing's cut off. What are you guys talking about? What's cut off? Nothing's cut off. You guys are like, nothing is cut off. Yeah, nothing's cut off. As far as I can tell, unless I'm crazy. I mean, yeah, nothing is cut off. Yeah, nothing's cut off. Yeah, all right. Yeah, everything is good. So a3 played by Magnus. In previous events, I did play a3 like I mentioned against Wesley So in the Clutch Chess tournament in St. Louis about 4 weeks ago. I'm not eliminated. I did qualify, you guys. So a3, knight bd7 is what I played. Magnus goes knight b5, play knight e8. Now he plays pawn to e3 here. Basically, white puts the knight on b5 to hamper my development. I have to bring the knight back to guard this pawn, as opposed to, say, pawn here when black can meet it with, like, c5 or b6 or any number of moves here that are fine. So by playing knight b5, knight e8, black has to waste a tempo here to go pawn to c6 or pawn to a6 to force the knight back to c3. Unfortunately, I chose to make the mistake of drinking coffee this morning instead of drinking G Fuel. So I'm gonna blame the coffee for my sluggish start this morning. I played d takes c4, bishop takes c4, played pawn to c5. Not the best move. Probably what I should do is play pawn to a6 at some point. No, chat, if you want to see an ad for G Fuel, this is my ad for G Fuel, because I filled up my water bottle with G Fuel and water, and I drank G Fuel after the first round is what I did. So yes, there you guys go. There's your ad. I was drinking G Fuel after the first game today, and it powered me through, and I won the critical last round game against Daniil Dubov. Okay? All right. So anyway, thank you to Botez Live for the host. Thank you for the host. 53 people. Thank you so much. Those of you guys who are coming from Alexandra and Andrea's channel, I am going over my games that I played today in the Chessable Masters, the second and final day of qualifications. I was very fortunate. I did qualify through to the quarterfinals, which I believe are on Thursday. So thank you again to Alexandra. I think it's Alexandra. Maybe it was Andrea. I think I saw Andrea on earlier, so I'm not 100% sure which one it was. Anyway, thank you so much for the host and all you people who are coming from their loved channel. We're going to be looking at chess for a bit and then playing some Valorant later, and so forth. It was Andrea. Okay, nice. I saw she was doing puzzles briefly at some point. She had like 38 or 39. So thank you once again. Make sure to give them a follow if you have the chance. All right, so e3, I take the pawn. Magnus takes. Now I push the pawn here. What I should have done here is played pawn here, remove the knight, and then probably I should go c5 or b5. It's still a little bit better for white, but it's not so clear. Whereas in the game, because I was halfway asleep, for some reason I calculated this line, and I forgot that white could just go knight d4 here. So basically, when I calculated this line in this position after e3 with takes and c5 and a6, basically I simply forgot that Magnus could put the knight on d4. I only thought he could go knight d6 or knight c3, and he went knight d4, and then it's like, oops, big mistake. Now I'm in bad shape. As you guys can see from the evaluation, it's already extremely high. It's probably quite a bit better for white. I mean, maybe the computer can find some weird move like bishop f6. Again, not very human and very hard to play objectively. So I play bishop takes c5. castles. Now I play queen e7. Again, idea to maybe push the pawn and fork the bishop and the knight. Again, the big issue for black here, though, is the lack of development. I have this queen side, and I can't really develop them, whereas white has developed everything. He's got the bishops out, he's castled the king, and his rook is coming to the center as well. So here Magnus played rook c1. Very nice move. We don't see the evaluation bar. Yeah, you guys do see it. But I'll turn off. I'll turn this off for now. Okay, so rook c1. I played bishop to d6 here. Trying to trade off some pieces because, again, white has maximum development. Everything is very optimally placed, whereas I don't have any development on the queen side at all. So here Magnus goes bishop a2. I play knight d to f6. If I were to move this knight to f6, white can smash me with knight f5. Hitting the queen and the bishop, I have to take, and then bishop takes bishop, and now I'm going to lose a rook or a queen here. Whereas by putting the other knight on f6, I keep the defender. So now if knight f5 takes, bishop d6, I can just gobble with my knight. So I play knight f6. Magnus plays knight e5. Again, this threat of e5 now is a very, very critical threat because the knight can no longer go to f5. The bishop guards the square, and then I would fork the bishop and the knight again. So Magnus goes knight e5. I play knight to d7. Very poor move by me. At this point already, it's very hard to play. As you guys can see, evaluation is really spiking in a big way. It's like plus 1.45 already. So it's really, really bad here. But guys, the evaluation bar on the top left is the same as what you guys see here on the right. So this 1.28 is exactly the same number that shows on the left. So let's not be silly, you guys. You can see the actual hard number on the right. Plus 1.45 doesn't mean it's completely lost, but it means it's very, very bad. So it means that at this point, white is up by the equivalent of 1.5 pawns, because plus 1 would be the same as plus 1, which one pawn is worth 1 point. So plus 1.5 means I'm essentially down by 1.5 pawns. So I go knight here. Now he goes knight c6. Very nice move by Magnus, a move that I completely missed again. I mean, it was already a bad position, but I should have seen this. For some reason, I didn't. So I play queen h4. Why do you always wear a sweater? Aren't you hot and sweaty or always cold? No, I mean, I've got a fan on me, so I'm doing well. Grishchuk Hikaru story. Okay, I'll watch it. Actually, I'm not going to watch it right now. I'll pop it. One second. I'll just pop it up and I'll watch it later. I'll watch it after we get through this game. So I go queen h4. He plays bishop g3. I go queen to g5. Again, if I were to take this knight, white takes, hits the queen, and I have to move my queen or else I lose it. And then white just takes, and I'm simply down one pawn here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, so I'll watch the Grishchuk clip after the game, you guys. So queen h4, bishop g3, queen g5. Pawn to h4, another very nice move by Magnus. I go queen f6. He goes knight g4. Again, precise moves. Not giving me a chance to develop. Because if you were to trade the knights and take, after knight takes bishop, queen takes knight, you'll notice that I can take with the bishop. And now my bishop is guarded, and also I can finish all of my queenside development. So Magnus correctly goes knight g4, and you'll see I'm still kind of paralyzed on the queen side. A bunch of my pieces just can't get into the game. So I go queen b2. He takes. I take the knight. If I were to capture this bishop, white can throw in the in-between move, knight to e7 check, hitting the king. King here, queen takes knight, queen takes bishop, and now white just trades everything down. And after the rooks come off, queen takes d7. White is just up one extra knight and completely winning in this position. So I decide to take the knight instead. He plays rook c2, another excellent precise move by Magnus. If white were to take, and I take back, here I'm hitting the bishop and the pawn, so I can maybe argue I have some play, even though it's still really bad. Whereas after rook c2, I have to go back, and then after takes, knight takes, you'll notice that I no longer am hitting the bishop or the pawn. And more importantly, I also can't take because the bishop guards the pawn at a3. So now he goes h5, which is actually a bad move. It's still winning for white, but I think when Magnus played this, he forgot, and I did too, that I could just take this pawn because there's no check with the knight because I can just take either way. So h5 was actually a blunder by Magnus, although it was still winning quite easily even if I take it. But I as I said, I was sort of a little bit out of it. I play pawn here, goes queen f3, and now I just took the pawn. Complete blunder. He takes the pawn, and for some reason, I thought I could go rook b8, takes and just take the knight, I'm in the game. But if I do this, then white just plays rook c8, and I'm down just an entire rook here. White has 2 rooks, and I just have 1 rook, so I'm completely lost. So I try knight c7 to keep the game alive, but it really doesn't matter because white just goes queen f3. Now I can't really defend the knight or the rook. I also deal with this discovered check threat against my queen here. So all in all, it's pretty dastardly here. So I go knight d5, he goes e4, play e5, and now he just plays knight h6, which wins. Pretty much everything wins. Rook c8 wins. Probably bishop d5 wins. Knight h6 wins. Every single move here is completely winning for white. So yeah, not a good first game. Obviously, when I lost this game, this moved me to 2.5 points out of 6, tied for 4th place with Alexander Grischuk, since he did draw his game. But I was behind on the tiebreaker. So yeah, basically just a very bad start. But we will keep going. So this first game, terrible start, terrible result, out of contention. Not out of contention, but not in the qualifying spot after this first game today, which was the 6th game in the event. Thank you to Mr. Phoenix for the 6 months. Thank you to HIV Ben for the Prime, Arono for the Prime, KCP40 for the 17 months. Thank you to Gregory Chop for the Prime, Stinger CS for the 2 months, Tim Cox 1019 for the Prime, Thermal Stripe for the 2 months, Toon Guy with the Prime, The Panja with the Prime, Mr. Tall Journal with the Prime. Thank you to Technologic for the 20 bucks. Congrats to you, Warlord of Chess. Clutch play today and good luck in the next round. Thank you. And thank you to Peempack as well for the Prime. Appreciate it. Thank you, you guys. Okay, so before I keep going with the analysis, thank you to Crazy Real as well. Thank you so much for the Prime. Thank you to Motion Fire for the Prime. I am going to watch this clip, so let's watch this clip.
Once I was watching Hikaru's stream, and he was playing some, how to say, guy who is not the owner of account. Okay.
Okay, I like how he says some guy. Okay, this is actually good. Let's listen to
say
this.
who it was, and he lost to him and got upset, and then I hear, I would rather play Grishu. So I log into chess.com and played some games with Hikaru.
Well, it's quite a coincidence you were there in that very moment.
Once I
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, that's pretty good actually. I think I know this was probably like I think this was like 2.5 weeks ago. I think it wasn't Hans. No, I don't know who it was, but this was like 2.5 weeks ago. I think we played like 10 games or something. Maybe I've got my dates wrong, but I do remember that. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Thank you to Syncopath for the Prime and Gert-Jan DH for the Prime. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you to Wes Mantillas for the Prime as well. Thank you. So play again. Not right now, you guys, but maybe in the coming days. I'm not opposed to playing against him. So all right. So let's get back to the analysis. So let's move on to the second game that I played. So as I pointed out, you guys, I was on 2.5 points out of 6, tied for the 4th and critical spot to qualify. Oh, it was the Aronian day. It was the Aronian and Melkumian day. Yes, it was that day. You guys are right. Okay, so pawn to d4. Let's flip to my point of view. So I played d4 against Alexander Grischuk, of course. Who else? He plays knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, and now Grischuk plays bishop b4. I will recognize subs in between the analysis, you guys. So in case I don't mention it right now, just know I will mention it. Okay, so Alexander Grischuk plays bishop b4 here. He plays what we call the Ragozin system. I play queen a4 check, trying to be like a voy boy and win this bishop on b4. Of course, Grischuk is a much stronger chess player than our good friend Box. So he correctly plays knight to c6, blocking the check on the king and protecting the bishop on b4 here. So now I go pawn to e3. Grischuk is greater than Box. Yeah, exactly. But I don't believe you. Yeah. Okay, so Grischuk castles the king here. I go queen to c2. Goes rook to e8. Now I go bishop d2. Pawn to a6. It's a hot take. I know, hot take. So I go a3, bishop d6, pawn to h3, h6, rook d1, bishop d7, bishop e2. So now, Chad, it's been many years, so I don't mind sharing a little story. So this is a variation that I've not looked at in a very long time. I originally prepared this idea with like the move order, basically delaying castles as long as I could. I believe it's in 2015 or 2016 in preparation for the candidates tournament. So even though I don't remember the specifics of the line, I do remember studying this in the month before the tournament quite seriously, and I did have this as well in the last round of that FIDE candidates tournament against Levon Aronian as well. So even though I didn't remember this line super clearly, I did remember that basically the point is to throw in as many waiting moves as you can before you develop the bishop and before you castle, because when black takes the pawn, you take, and it's 2 jumps. You move the bishop here, and then you take. Whereas in this position, let's say black takes, I get to do this in 1 jump. I didn't have to play the bishop to e2. So the whole point behind the setup is you try to delay and induce black to capture the pawn, so you get the capture in 1 go. Whereas here, you have to basically go here, and then it's 2 goes. You go here, and then you capture instead of getting there in 1 go. So now pawn to e5, correct move, I castle. Here Sasha goes e4, I play knight to h2, he plays pawn to b5. Another excellent move, go bishop a2, he plays b4, play knight d5. Basically the point here is that white wants to at some point open up this file. Like if let's just say black plays an empty move like rook c8, I can push this pawn and really start to put a ton of pressure on this open f file down towards the white king here, because the whole center is going to explode, and white's doing very, very well here. So Sasha correctly plays b5, he plays b4, knight d5, and now he takes on a3, I take back, and he goes bishop e6. An excellent move here, by the way, to be very clear, because at this point, it's already a little bit dangerous for black. This bishop is really good on this diagonal. I'm threatening to open up this f file down towards the black king as well. So it's very, very dangerous here for black. But Sasha finds bishop e6, which, by the way, let's see. Does the computer even see it right off? Let's see. Let's see how long until the top line becomes bishop e6. Because I'm pretty sure bishop e6 is the best move here. Let's see. So see, it took a while. It didn't even pop up for like the first 10 to 15 seconds. So yeah. And by the way, to be clear as well, Sasha used, I think he used about 6 minutes to find bishop e6, and it's just a brilliant move by him. Now I know the computer maybe is saying rook b8 as well, but when you use 5 minutes and you go from having like 7 to 8 minutes and you go all the way down to 3 minutes, your move better be pretty good, or else you're going to be in really bad shape. So he goes bishop e6, so now I took the knight. I really wanted to take this knight, but the problem is here black can just play knight takes knight, and if I take back, black takes. Now it looks like white's up a piece, but now black has the fossil here. He plays bishop takes h2, and then he takes the queen, he takes the pawn, or takes the bishop and the rook. So he turns it into a fossil, into the double archaeologist, and it's completely winning for black. So because of that, I can't really go into that. I basically have to be worried about all these ideas. So now I trade the knights. He takes back, and here I thought for a very long time, and I played a move that probably is a bad move, but I was getting frustrated. I think I used about like 5 to 6 minutes here as well, because I was really frustrated. I just couldn't find any moves that worked, and frankly, I was just annoyed at Sasha for playing the best moves. So in the end, I decided to play d5, which is not the best move. Here, I probably should have played pawn to f4, but after bishop takes a2, queen takes a2, knight e7, I was a little bit worried that black is going to get a knight to the central square, and perhaps black can end up even a little bit better. Now, the computer, as you see, is showing that the black is completely fine here, but I was a little bit worried, or white is fine, but I was a little bit worried about this. So I played d5, basically gambling that Sasha would blunder. Of course, Sasha is much too good for that, and he takes here. But I would add, you guys, since one thing that I'm going to say also as well is something specific to psychology. So one thing that matters a lot is when you're behind, or when things aren't going well, you kind of have to induce more variance, and you have to take more risks. So I knew that d5 was not the best move, and I didn't see a good follow through, but I figured there is a chance he'll make a mistake, and if he makes a mistake, I'm going to win the game, and it won't even be close. So when I started playing some of these moves that are not necessarily the optimal moves, and that are somewhat suboptimal, you're trying to induce variance, and maybe your opponent will make a mistake. So I take, bishop takes pawn, I play bishop c3 again. If I take this bishop here, black can go queen here with a check, and now he picks up the bishop on d5, and it's even material. So I play bishop c3, he plays queen d6 check, again the correct move. This looks like a fossil again, fossil into double archaeologist, or fossil into something into museum. I remember that much. But basically it looks like white is winning here, because everything is under attack. The queen, the bishop, I mean the knight, the rooks, like the whole house is collapsing. So it's yeah. I mean, it's fossil into double archaeologist into something museum. I'll find the clip later. But yeah. So it looks like white is completely winning here, but the problem is black plays check, hitting my king. I move the king, and now he goes knight to e7, and now magically everything is kind of supported here in one go, and black is doing pretty well. Rook d2. Oh, it's double archaeologist into triple museum. Okay. So now queen e6, and here black is up a pawn. But black probably can't win because the pawns are very weak. His knight is going to get attacked in the center. So I trade. Go bishop a5. He goes rook queen to f5. Another excellent move now, because if I take the pawn, he plays rook c8 and he pins the bishop and the queen. If I play queen to c5 here, trying to attack this way, now it's another geometry situation. Knight takes e3. If I capture the knight, then black takes the bishop, and now black is up dos pawns. And if I trade the queens and take, I'm still behind by one pawn. So I had to play something else, so I go queen c4 here. Again, black still has the knight takes pawn idea, but here it's not as strong, because now I can take, and after queen takes, I take this pawn. King goes over, and I think I can just double everything here on the 7th. And black is still okay, but white should be able to draw. So Sasha goes rook e5, correct move. Play bishop c3, basically trying to bail out here. I figured I'm worse, but if I can get rid of the knight and the bishop, it's going to be an endgame. And all these endgames, when you look at the pawns, tend to lead to positions that should be drawable, even if black is better. Too much for me. I'm out. And for that reason, I'm out of here. So now queen d4. He plays rook e8. Go rook to b1. Again, trying to take the two open files here so that my rooks are better than his rooks. Goes rook c6. Now I go queen to d7. Basically, at this point, it's like, okay, enough fooling around. I better bail out and just kill this game right away. Maybe not even kill, but try to get it to an end game where I should be able to draw with correct play. So he trades. He goes pawn to g6. Now I go rook b to b7 here, and so now basically everything kind of peters out a little bit, because at this point, if black plays rook to c8, now I can quite simply go rook to I think rook to b4, f5, and I just go back, and the king is super cut off here, and it's just basically just a draw. So here Sasha plays rook e5, basically decides, you know what, we both had our chances, nothing really to play for. We trade. I go here, and now we play this end game, and I forget who offered the draw, whether it was me or Sasha, but obviously at this point we were on move 41. So just the draw rule is that you can't offer a draw before move 40. So we both made our 40th move, and then it's time to just go get a bag of chips, relax before the third game of the day begins. So with this draw, this meant that I still was in fifth place technically out of the 6 players in the group. I will pop up a bracket later, you guys, so you can see it. But this meant I had 3 points out of 7 games, same as Sasha, but out of the contention, out of the qualifying spot, I should say. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's look at the third game that I played against Vladislav Artemiev. So the game starts knight f3, knight f6, g3, d5. I won't really go over the opening in depth, you guys, because I've had this. So first time that I think I had this opening, I looked at this many times as white in the run-up to the FIDE Candidates tournament again in 2016. But I think I had this in a game against... I had this in many games against the former world champion, recently retired chess player Vladimir Kramnik. He played this setup with white against me a few times. I think I played against him with white as well. So now knight a3 was played, which I played, by the way, as well. Now, I hadn't looked at this line before the game, to be clear, but I did play this knight a3 move in the second round of the Gibraltar Masters tournament in 2019. And I remember this game very, very well, because in the first game I drew against, I think I drew against, who did I draw against? I drew against a GM, I think. Maybe it wasn't even GM, maybe it was an IM. Who did I draw against? I was black against somebody. Who did I draw in the first round? Who did I draw? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. Yeah, sorry, guys. I don't remember. Anyway, the point is I drew the first round against somebody who was maybe like 2,500 or something with a black piece. So I was pretty annoyed, obviously, because I drew the game. And in chess, the MMR actually matters even over the board. It's the same thing. You draw someone who's 2,500, you lose like three ranking points. So yeah, so basically in the second round with the white pieces, I was playing this 2400 Spanish IM dude, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna play something kind of random, just do the double fianchetto, and just try to play chess the way Artemiev did against me. So I played this knight a3 line, and the Spanish IM immediately played this, takes, and then blitzed out knight e7. And no, it was not Lance Henderson. It was a different guy. I do know who Lance is, but it was one of the other Spanish IMs. I forget who it was. But anyway, the point is that he basically blitzed out the same opening. Maybe I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Can I find it? Let me do it in another tab. Let me try to find my games from Gibraltar. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up the game. Let's see, who is it against? Just give me 1 second, you guys. Sorry. It was Vaso Blesic. Really? Let's see. Okay. I don't think it was, but I'll check. No, it was. Oh no, that was the first game. I'm talking about the second game that I drew. That was the first game. Let me see. That was the first game. Let me see if I can find the second game. Yeah, no, the first game you're right, but I'm just trying to pull up the second game to make sure that my brain is not frying you guys. So let me see. What was it? Gibraltar Masters. Okay, 1 second. I'll pop it up in 1 second. Okay, let's put this over here so you guys can see it. Wait, no, that's not the right one. Okay, games. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Andres Marario Alacan. Okay, let's see. Am I right or am I wrong? Let's see. So this game I was white, by the way. So as I pointed out, you guys, I decided, you know what? I'm going to play something slow, b3, g3, double fianchetto, castle the king, play something slow. Anyway, it turned into a real opening. As you guys see, turned into this. And yeah, okay, so it was a little bit different in terms of what happened in that game, slightly different versus this game, because in this game, as you see, I actually did not take like my opponent did, but because of that game that I played before, I was familiar with this line. I knew that basically in this position, even though I get the double pawns, it should be okay. So, okay, so we play this position, double pawns, and by the way, to be clear, you guys, one other thing is that when you have qualification at stake, you have to be very precise in picking your spots to take chances. As most people know, normally when you play chess with the white pieces, you try to win your games. With black, you try to stabilize. It's like, what's a good example? It's like it's like when Roger Federer plays tennis, for example, and he's not serving. When somebody's serving to him, you'll notice that most of the time what he tries to do is he tries to slice the serve back, take the pace off the ball, and then get into a rally and get into the point. So in chess, it's very similar in that what you're trying to do is you're trying to like block. You try to block and slow the game down in the opening phase in the same way that you do in tennis. So that being said, when you're playing with the black piece, you try to do that. But obviously, as I pointed out, as I except for the athleticism, right? As I was pointing out, in this situation, I was in a spot where drawing my games or being solid would not get me through. Like I had to get a W somewhere in the last 3 games. My attitude was basically in this 8th round game against Artemiev, basically try to draw the game, not draw the game, but try to play it very flat, and then in round 9 with black, take my chances against Hari Krishna, and round 10, take my chances with white against Danil Dubov. So that was kind of my thought process in terms of this opening. I thought, you know what, if I can get to the 9th and 10th round, I'll do my best to put pressure there, but it didn't feel right to try and beat Artemiev, because he's obviously a very good player to begin with, but it's like one of those things where you want to take your shot later on. Okay, so anyway, we trade. He goes rook d7, I go rook b8, goes knight c4, I go rook d8. Again, trying to exchange the rooks and then take the open mid lane here. He goes rook d1. I play pawn to f5. Basically, just want to get the pawn on a nice solid square, prevent white from taking space in the center. He goes f4. I go pawn to a5. I don't know if this is the best move here, or sorry, pawn to b5. I don't know if it's the best move, but it felt like a reasonable move to kick the knight out, and I guess computer agrees. So he goes knight e5, so I take. He takes with a knight, and now I think I made a mistake, probably. No, I did this, which computer says is okay. He goes knight c5, and now I did not go rook c7. Why did I not play rook c7? So basically, during the game, I saw this line. I thought here, knight a6, rook c8, rook c1. White was much better, and white is much better, but apparently I can play rook b7 and just rook b6, and I'm apparently doing completely fine, as you guys can see from this evaluation here. 0.45, So I guess this would have been good. In the game, though, for some reason, I was worried about it. So I went rook b8, which is probably a bad move. Artemiev goes rook d7. Yeah, you guys, I have TTS off right now. I'll get to it, though, after the game. So I go pawn to a5. He goes, oops. So here he goes knight d3. I go rook to d8 to try and trade the rooks. Why did I go rook d8 where? Well, if I go rook d8 here, white can go rook c7, and now he removes the knight, and the pawn is under attack. So I can't. It's like a weird box, and I can't really save everything. So I go a5. He goes knight d3. Now I go rook d8 to try and trade. Correctly, he goes rook c7, and here I did not follow my intuition. No good. No good. So basically, during the game, I was going to go knight b4 because I thought takes. If he goes rook c5, I can go rook here. Not rook here, sorry. I can go like rook b8, I think, and I just hold the draw. Or maybe I thought I could go here. I just remember that I thought I could draw this endgame, and then during the game, like for some reason, I saw a ghost, and I didn't do this. This is my original idea. And I think maybe I thought takes, rook b8, and king f2, and I think I thought white's king is coming in really fast. I don't know. Maybe the computer just draws this because it's saying it's 0.54 is the advantage. But I was going to do this move, and then I was like, I don't like it. I'll do something else. So I played rook d6. Goes king g2. Am I on the Twitch Rivals Pokemon roster tomorrow? I saw somebody tweet about that. Who was it? I saw somebody on Twitter tweet about it. But no, I'm not. So here I played pawn to h5, a move that maybe is not necessary. He goes to a3, and now I played a horrific move. I played pawn to f6, which is a terrible, terrible move. One of the worst moves that I played today, actually. It doesn't lose the game, but there's no need for it because what it does is it cuts my king off and I create a ton of weaknesses. Now this pawn is weak and my whole pawn structure is very soft here, so it's really, really bad. So f6 is what she suggested. Okay, but I think it's just objectively a very poor move. It feels wrong. So rook to b7 here, and now white attacks the pawn. Played knight to d4. He goes b4. I take. Now here Artemiev took with the knight, which maybe it's a good move, but during the game somehow I felt like it kind of makes my chance of drawing a lot better than if he takes with the pawn, because now he can always try to remove the knight and win the pawn on b5. So I go rook d8, only move. Goes rook b6 here, which again is a very bad move. Do you regret moves during the game or focus on the current position? I try to focus on the current position, but on a day like today when I was playing like a hot whatever I'm going to say it was, you know, it's like you kind of start just feeling bad. Thank you to Chesscom Events with our host, 4717 viewers. Thank you so much. We are looking at games that I played today in the Chessable Masters. Currently, the third game of the day against Vladislav Artemiev. So yeah, so I played rook d8. Now he goes rook b6, which is a bad move here because basically now my king gets active. The one thing white has here is my king is completely stuck on the back rank, and when he does this after king f7, now my king is active, not on the back rank, but more importantly, it guards the pawn on e6 as well. So now he goes h3. I seemed bored during the first game. I was just like half asleep, honestly. I was very slow. I was very slow getting into the rhythm today. There was just no flow. So now I go rook a8. Again, if white tries e3 here, I have a very nice tactic, knight to c2, hitting the knight and the pawn. And now after takes, rook check, he can go I guess king to f3, and after I take, when he takes, this is just a draw. 4 pawns, 4v4, and it's just a well-known theoretical draw, as Ludwig would know since he's the big Dvoretsky guy. So h3 played here. So now I played rook to a8, attacking the pawn on a3, e3, and now knight b3, and all the advantages completely gone here. Takes. I played rook takes a3, and now Artemiev, who I think was down to like 15 seconds here, just decided, you know what, let's just go get a cup of tea, relax before the next game. Plays knight c2, and after rook a2, rook b3, rook c2, we just play a couple of random moves, and then now that we were past move 40 on to move 41, we just offer a draw to each other and move along on our merry way. So this was the third game, or the 8th game of the day, and this meant that I was still on 3.5 points out of 8. 3.5 points out of 8, same as Grishuk, but he had the tiebreaker over me. So I won't get into the tiebreaker because that's way too dank, and even I don't really like talking about that stuff. So 3.5 out of 8, both tied for 4th place, but Grishuk had the tiebreaker. So let's move to round 9 against Hari Krishna. So knight f3, I play pawn to f5. Hari Krishna plays d3. Now I play knight c6, pawn to e4, pawn to e5. So one of the reasons that I like the Dutch is it's an unbalanced opening. A lot of stuff can happen going well or going badly. What G fuel do I drink? This is, I think, like watermelon or like strawberry watermelon, something like that. So d3, knight c6. E4, I play e5 here. And now this turns into a weird, like King's Gambit or something weird. Not sure. Thank you to Gucci XXX for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. So she read the tiebreak rule on the stream, and it was very dank. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty dank. So I decided to play like a reverse kind of like King's Gambit or something here. So he plays knight c3. I think white can take maybe, but it's very sharp. So he goes here. I go bishop b4. He takes on f5, and now I play pawn to d5, trying to build the center here, basically activate the bishop, use both the snipers, and man, oh my gosh, I can't draw to save my. Oh, come on, dude, draw. Okay, there we go. So I try to develop the center and get both of my bishops out. Both snipers are very good here. Plays pawn to d4 here. And here I play pawn takes pawn. Probably not best. I probably should play pawn to e4 here. And after knight e5, I think I can just take and go bishop f5. And black should be better here. I don't really know why I didn't do this. I mean, I must have been like smoking crack or something, because this is just really, really good for black. And for some reason, I think I was also a little bit on tilt. I was just in a bad mood, honestly. And so I didn't do this. I mean, it's just like ridiculous that I didn't play like this, because as you guys can see from the valuation, it's already like 0.6 for black. So it's really, 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 really good. Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't in a good mood today during the event. I don't know. I wasn't feeling the flow. I was just in like a bad mood. Yeah, I went under Charlie's bridge, right? Exactly. Right. So yeah, this would have been, I mean, like quite reasonable, and I would have been much better. So for some reason, I just took the pawn, which was a very bad move. He plays knight takes d4, play knight to f6. He goes a3. We trade everything down, a liquidation. I get my one pawn back on f5. Why can't I draw? Jeez, I just can't draw. So I get back the pawn, and we have even material here on the board. It's 6v6 pawns. But it's not really great. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's not really great here because basically the two bishops have a lot of scope. My knight doesn't have scope, and after f3 here, which is a very good move, it cuts the squares of my knight. Like, the knight can no longer jump, and so my knight kind of is not a great piece here. So I castle. He goes bishop e2. I play queen d7, pawn to a4. The idea behind this is that if white castles, I think I wanted to go queen here, stunt the pawn advance so the bishop never has real access points, and then also put massive pressure on the pawn on c2 and the pawn on d4 as well. And I mean, this should be very, very good for black. So after queen d7, a4, I play queen c6 again. Idea is to play this check, create the mini pyramid of Giza with queen c3, and also put pressure on the pawn on c2 here. So he goes rook a2. How many draws? I had 8 draws. I think I had 8 draws. 1 loss, and 1 win. Rook a2, I play rook e8. Again, white would like to play bishop b5 and skewer my queen and rook, but now I go, but he can't do it right away because the king would be in check, so he goes castles. Now I play a6 again to cut off the idea. Bishop to d2, rook to e6 here, basically trying to double up the rooks on the e file. Goes rook f2, I play rook e8. Now he goes bishop f1, and now I play knight to d7. The idea behind this is I want to get my knight to a better square, and if you look at it conceptually, both of white's bishops don't really look good. This bishop is just sitting here, no scope whatsoever. All the critical squares are covered, and so his bishop is bad here, and this bishop also is not great. So what I want to do is activate my knight to the ideal square, because when you go back here, the knight has no spots to jump on the king side. So what I need to do is get the knight to a better square. And really the only two squares that work for jumping are b6 or d6. These two squares, one on either side of the queen. So what I do is I go here to try and jump in two turns. But now he goes a5, and now I don't have any jumps because the pawns basically cut all the squares for my knight. So now I go h6. Yes, chat, I wear a wig. Next time you say that, Godzilla, or not Godzilla, sorry. Next time you say that, dude, I'm going to be banning. So, chill out, Zumba. So h6, queen b1. I play rook to b8 here. Now queen to b3. I go pawn to b5 here. basically to stop white from pushing the pawn in the center of the board here. Not really ideal. I didn't want to play b5, but it's like one of those things that like I kind of have to do, because if white gets c4 and basically both these bishops start getting a ton of jumps, the bishops just come right into the board. Thank you to Gucci for the 10 gifted. Thank you so much, Gucci, my man. Appreciate it. Thank you. So now I have to go b5 to cut this idea. He goes queen here. I go rook e8. He goes rook a3. Again, this rook is kind of not doing much, and I can't really gobble on c2, because if I gobble with the bishop, he goes rook c3, and now he picks up the queen and the bishop. If I play queen c2, he can make a fossil with bishop takes h6, and he discovers my queen with the queen on c2 with his rook, and he gets back the one pawn by capturing on h6. So I play knight b8 here. He goes rook c3. I go queen d7. Goes rook c5. I play rook c6 again, trying to activate the knight to another good square, because now I can no longer get the knight to this square right here. So I want to get it here where I can target both of his pawns. So he goes bishop f4. I go rook e6. Goes rook e2. Very solid move, trying to draw the game. So I trade, and now here I guess I could have maybe taken the pawn on c2, but I thought if I take the pawn, he has some weird thing like bishop takes b5. And maybe this is okay, but I was kind of worried that after takes queen b5, there are a lot of threats here towards all my pieces. And maybe I can do this, but I don't know. When I saw this during the game, I got very concerned that maybe I'd be losing here, because this is hanging. Everything is really like kind of overloaded here in a way. So I just wasn't sure if this was okay or if I was really going to be in a lot of trouble here. So maybe this works. Instead, I decided to play queen e7, which is definitely not the best move. I can say that right off, because by playing queen e7, what I do is I allow white to go rook takes b5, which is an excellent move here. White creates a fossil. Whoa, thank you to Gucci, quadruple XD. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So white creates the fossil here, the discovery, because now if I capture the queen, white just takes back. If I take the rook with the pawn, then I lose my queen. And of course, when I take the bishop, white can take my knight with a check as well. So it's a very nice discovery played here by Hare Krishna. So I take, he takes, I go here. And now Hare Krishna goes queen d2. Very good move here. And here I kind of lost my mind. What I should have done is just traded queens and been like, okay, it's what it is. You're going to draw the game, and you're not going to qualify. Oh, well, big deal. But that's life. Instead, I decided to try to play on and play for the win with queen e7, which is a very, very dubious decision, because now white goes c3. And for some reason, after queen a3, I thought I was okay in this game. But I'm probably just losing here. After he pushes the wrong pawn. He should have pushed this one. And after I go bishop g6, now he goes h4, h5, and I think, or even bishop e5 as well. And white is just completely winning here, because if I take this pawn, he has this ridiculous move, rook h8 check. King takes, and now he plays this move, and you'll see everything is pinned here. I can't capture because that puts my king in check, and when I go over, he just goes checkmate. The bishop and the queen guard each other and checkmate the black king. So I really should have traded queens and been like, okay, this is life. You're going to draw the game. You know, you're not going to qualify. It happens. So I go queen a3, goes h4. I play queen takes. Codzilla, it wasn't you. I misread it. It wasn't you. I thought you wrote the message. You wrote a different message, so you're all good, man. I misread it. It wasn't your message. You're all good, bro. So pawn to g4 here, which is a move that I completely forgot about. And now the problem is if I go bishop g6, white can push the pawn, and you'll notice there are literally no squares on the diagonal. Every square is covered here by the queen and by the rook, and basically it's just completely lost because my bishop is just stuck. So if I go back to like f7 here, then white can make a check here. I block, and now he goes here, and disaster is looming here with a checkmate coming. And the black king is getting checkmate. Thank you to Gucci quadruple D for the 10 gifted. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. So it's just dead loss. So I'm very lucky here that I didn't lose on the spot, because I did not see this idea at all. So I play queen a1 check. He goes here. I go bishop b1. And at this point, Hare Krishna just completely goes insane. I think basically any queen move on this e-file would be winning for white here. Instead, he plays queen c1, completely forgetting that I can go rook b6. And after I go rook b6 here, first of all, it looks like white is pinning the bishop and the queen and winning the game. And if I go check, he can block. And again, I lose the bishop. But here I go rook to b6, and now the pin gets invalidated, and the rooks are coming off the board. So even though white is now up 1 pawn, there's no threat towards my king because the bishop covers all these squares. And more importantly, it's opposite color bishops as well. The bishop, this is a dark square bishop, this is a light square bishop. So the draw becomes very, very straightforward. So I go check here, go bishop d3, queen e3, queen c2. He goes h5. I take the pawn here, and we draw the game here. Because if I take the bishop, he goes check, 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 and there's no way for the king to avoid the repetition. The queen just keeps going back and forth. So so basically we agreed to a draw. I think it was this position we agreed to a draw, which meant going into the final round, I was still on 4 points out of 9, same as Grishuk, but desperately needing to win the game to qualify. So thank you to Reconquistio for the 4 months. Thank you to Calgagi for the 12. Thank you to Sean Jackson, 14 for the 2 months. Thank you to Cosmo, 44 for the 4 months. Thank you to David Lee for the Prime. Thank you to Inferior Mart for the Prime. Thank you to Nathaniel Folks for the Prime. Aaron Juntaman for the Tier 1. Thank you to Triste for the Tier 1. Thank you so much. And thank you, of course, to Gucci once again. Appreciate all the gifted subs. I did well to hold that. Yeah, it was a very ugly game, but I made the draw, so let's move on to the 5th round. And in this game, I played with the white piece against Danil Dubov. Critical last round game. I should do auctioning commentary, and to the bidder in the back, $50 going once, going twice. With the bidder on the far left, he makes a bid of 200. 200 is the bid. It's going around 200, 200, 200. I have 300 from the gentleman in the back right corner of the room. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Thank you to Gucci for the 20 gifted. Thank you to Propargo for the Prime. Thank you to D1337RO for the 2 months. Thank you so much. Yeah, again, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gucci. You are amazing. Appreciate all the support. Thank you. So final game of the day, you guys. After 9 rounds, I was on 4 points out of 9. Danil Dubov was on 5. Hari Krishna was on 3 points out of 9. I was on 4 out of 9. Grishuk on 4 out of 9. Danil Dubov on 5 out of 9. So if I won this game, I would qualify. Any other result, I would say probably 90% chance plus that I would not. So it was a must-win game with the white piece in the final round. So I had to clutch it up. So, okay, I play e4 in this game. So I play e4. He goes c5. I go knight f3. He goes knight c6. Go knight to c3. G6, d4 trade, bishop g7. This is the accelerated dragon. Again, Dubov trying to do his best imitation of Voyboy. I'm not sure why. I mean, Voyboy, he's decent at chess. I know he won PogChamps, but I mean, some of his openings aren't necessarily the best. So I mean, trying to emulate Voyboy in a critical game, I'm not so sure about that. Anyway, so I played bishop e3 here. Danil goes knight f6 here. I played bishop c4, and now here Danil plays castles. He did not follow the very topical game that was played between Yasuo and Voyboy in the PogChamps tournament. In that game, Voyboy played queen a5. As we know, Voyboy being a major expert on this system, definitely someone that it would make sense to try and play sometime. So queen a5 is what Voyboy did against Yasuo in that game, and he won very, very quickly. Here Dubov castled instead. I play bishop b3. Dubov plays rook e8. Now I play f4. So first things first, as you guys know, I had this position a couple of times against Danil in the final of the Lindorus Abbey tournament about 2.5 weeks ago, and I did not get great positions. I was probably winning in one of the games, but it wasn't so clean. So Danil repeats it. Now I played f4, and I will add, you guys, I had looked at this variation during that match. So during that final match against Danil, I was aware of this f4 idea, but I decided not to use it in that match, which maybe was, looking back, probably was a big mistake. So that not using it probably cost me 18,000 sandals. But again, you never really know. You never really know. So it is what it is. So as I said, I had prepared the system, and then today, like a complete jerk, Alexander Grishuk decided to play this against Danil in the first round of the day. So I was very upset to see that. I'm very unhappy with Sasha. I'm going to definitely have a word with him at some point about stealing my idea and using it before I could use it. Yeah, I'm making a joke, you guys. But anyway, the point is Sasha played this in the first round today against Danil, and I was fairly unhappy to see it. But last round game, must-win game. Why not just go for it anyway? Since Sasha did get a very good position in that game. So he plays d6 here. I go queen f3, bishop d7. I castle. Now, in the first game of the day against Alexander Grishuk, I believe Danil played knight d4 and bishop c6, if I remember correctly, something like this. In this game, he decided to vary it up. He plays knight g4. So now I take the knight. I kind of have to do something because the bishop guards the knight, and black's threatening to open up this long diagonal. So I take. He takes with the pawn. I go bishop d2. You mad? No, I'm making a joke. Thank you to Gucci. Quadruple XD for the $69.69 tip. Thank you so much, Gucci. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. So bishop d2. He goes d5 here, trying to open up the center of the board here, basically. And yeah, trying to open up the center of the board here. If I take the pawn, I think after black takes back, all the diagonals are really going to be opening up for black in a big hurry towards my king, and the lack of development kind of hurts me. No rooks in the center, so there was no message, you guys. So basically, I was fortunate enough that before the game, I reviewed this briefly, and I knew that the correct move here was pawn to f5. So now after knight to e5, black has to move the knight because now I cut the diagonal with my two pawns, and I go queen to f2. Point is that if black takes back the pawn, now I can take this pawn, and after it takes, I can just jump right in with bishop f7. I have three things going down towards the black king, and so black can't really open up the diagonal yet. So here Danil plays e6, which I think is the correct move, and now I play pawn to f6, and this is where Danil really went wrong. He plays the move knight to g4, which maybe is okay here. I don't know. It felt iffy during the game, and actually now that I look at the evaluation, it feels really, it looks pretty iffy too. Based on the fact the computer is saying bishop f8 is the right move. So I was very, very happy that I found this move, because when I used about 4 minutes on this move, is e6 bad though? I mean, maybe the position is just bad for black in general. Let's see. I'll let the computer sit for about 15 seconds while I take another swig of G Fuel. Okay. So depth 19, let's see. It says 0.9. Let's see. It's staying at 0.9, depth 20. Let me see. Depth 20. Okay, now it's coming down a little bit. Not coming down super far. Okay, so yeah, so if I look at this evaluation, I see 0.94, which is close to +1 pawn. And it's saying pawn takes pawn is the best move for black. Then I think the position is already really bad, because for a human, I don't know, taking with the pawn, it's just not in the spirit of the dragon or the accelerated dragon. So yeah, I mean, if GF is the best move, then it's pretty hard to play. So e6, I go f6. Goes knight g4, I go queen f3. Again, bishop f8 is the best move here, but after queen g3, I think white is just really, really good. This light squared bishop is really bad. It's stuck behind this behind the triangle, and it's got no scope whatsoever. So this bishop is just really bad, even though the triangle looks pretty, and it's just probably losing. Instead, he goes knight g4, go queen f3 here. And now Danil plays queen f6, which is a huge blunder. What he should have done is played knight takes f6. But understandably, I mean, it looks really ugly because I can play pawn e5. Actually, I don't know which one's right. Is e5 better than bishop g5? No, or is it? Let's see. 1 second, you guys. I'm going to let the computer think for 1 second. Let's see what it concludes. Hey, how's it going, Gorge C? Good to see you. Hope all is going well. Hope Dota is treating you well. So here... So here, if I mean, I guess I can push the pawn or go here. I don't know which one is right. Oh, it's Gork. Oh, did I mispronounce it? Oh, I'm an idiot. Sorry, you guys. Apologies, dude. Sorry. All right. So anyway, it looks like both moves are good. E5 and bishop G5 are good. Thank you to Gucci. Gucci quadruple XD for the 10 gifted. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the 50 gifted subs, I think it is. You're amazing, man. Thanks. So both moves are good. I think I would have just played this because now black has to go here. If black goes to the edge of the board, there is a common saying that I think some people have heard, some people have not heard. Gorp works too, okay. Which is, the saying is, a knight on the rim is grim. So here black's knight is on the very edge of the board. And the problem with knights on the edge of the board is that after I push the pawn here, the knight is completely stuck. He's got no squares to go to because every single square is covered. And a knight on the rim is grim. It's dim. It's everything, you guys. Grim, dim. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So the knight gets trapped. So black has to go knight to e4 to save his horse. And now I take, and I go check, king here, queen f4. And basically, again, this bishop stuck behind these pawns. This bishop also stuck behind this pawn. So black's bishops have no scope. Thank you to Gucci for the 3 gifted. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. And basically, white's just winning the game. So here, Daniil basically, understandably, he doesn't like his position, feels like things are going very wrong. He plays queen f6. So now I take, he goes check, trying to win hitting my king and my bishop. But now I go rook to f2, pawn to f5, and now I go queen to f3. I don't know if this was the best move. It looked correct. The computer, I guess, likes queen g3. Not really sure why, but I thought this was very clean because after pawn takes, I can make the check and win the bishop. And if he takes with this pawn, it's really bad because even though black has 2 pawns, his pawn is out of the center, so he opens up this mid lane for my rook to just basically attack the bishop. And now this other bishop on b3 just starts coming to life in a hurry. Whereas black really, he needs to use these pawns in the center because he's down one knight for 2 pawns. So he really needs to roll the pawns in the center of the board. If he can't run the pawns down the middle of the board, then he's going to be losing. So here he takes, basically realizing takes, he's just going to lose. So I go check, hitting the king and the bishop. He goes here. And now in this position, I play queen d7, plays rook d8, a move that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Maybe he can play pawn to e3, but after bishop takes, queen takes, rook f1. If black tries to go like bishop d4 to hit the rook, I just sidestep with my king, and I move the rook next move. And again, I'm just up a bishop for a couple of pawns. So Daniil basically decides to go rook d8, goes all in, hoping to find a miniature here, but I don't think it really exists because I take rook f8, and now I go bishop to e1. Very important move, by the way, to protect the rook with the bishop. If I bring this rook here, there's probably something like pawn to, there's probably like takes, and I don't know if it's e3 or rook f8, but there's a lot of danger surrounding my king. So here I go bishop e1 to guard the rook again. Even though it's pinned, black cannot win it. So he goes queen e3. And now I basically just gobble. And at this point, one of the good things is when you reach a position like this, what you end up with is a spot where if black has a win here, he's got to win. But when your opponent is sacrificing a bunch of material to try and checkmate your king, like here, black is down a bishop and a knight for, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 1 pawn. So he's down a bishop and a knight for a singular pawn here. So when you're way behind on piece and you try to attack, it cuts both ways. So for me, when I'm up by a bunch of material, I can sort of just basically play the moves that look best. And look, if there's a checkmate, there's a checkmate. Good for him. He wins the game. But at the same time, if I don't see it and it isn't there, it's just not there. So it's a very relaxing kind of psychological atmosphere because you can just play the moves and just keep rolling with it. So now I play queen takes e6 here. He goes bishop to d4. Again, trying to use this pin to win material. But at this point, as you see, I've just been gobbling here. At this point, black is down a clean bishop and a knight. Just down a bishop and a knight. Same number of pawns, and he's down a bishop and a knight. So black better have a checkmate or else he's toast. So now I keep continuing. I'm like, okay, dude, I don't see your checkmate. I take the pawn. If black takes the knight, I just take. And then after rook f2, bishop f2, queen f2, king h1, there's no checkmate here. And my rook covers all these squares. And now my bishop and queen create the battery and the checkmate. So here he goes queen e2, hoping to capture the rook on f2 with the bishop because it's still pinned. But here I have a very nice move. I can just play queen to e5. And now I hit the king with check, but I also hit the bishop. And if black captures the queen, now I just take the queen. And there's no pin. And black's just down a bishop, a knight, and a pawn, which is way too much material here. And if black moves the king, I just go, I do the fossil. Knight e7, check the king, and this is actually checkmate because the king has no squares here. The bishop hits it from the diagonal, the knight hits it this way, and then my queen covers both of these 2 squares on the diagonal as well. So this would be checkmate. So Daniil resigned here. Of course, he could have captured, but once I take the queen, he goes check. I can just play knight e3, and again, I have extra bishop, extra knight, no queens on the board, no checkmate in sight. And so by winning this game, I actually end up qualifying for the quarterfinals. So let me pop this up. Give me 1 second, you guys. Let me save this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll pop up the standings. So I do qualify, as I pointed out before, and I will be playing the quarterfinals starting, I believe, on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, there we go. All right, so here are the standings, you guys. So top four players qualify, so I'll just cover most of the board here. As you guys will see, the Chessable Masters, here are the standings. Magnus Carlsen finishes in first place on tie breaks with 6 points. Vladislav Artemiev finishes in second place with 6 points. I finish in third place with 5 points. Alexander Grishuk also on 5 points in fourth place. And Danil Dubov actually gets bounced from the qualifier also finishing on 5 points because he loses the tiebreaker to myself and Alexander Grishuk. So if we look at the standings, by the way, so going to this last round, Dubov was on 5 points. Grishuk and I were on 4 points. So a very costly last 2 games because Dubov lost to Magnus and then to myself, and that cost him qualification into the next round. So I qualified, get the job done, even though it was really hard and definitely not easy. But I did keep the mental together. My mental was strong at the end, and so I finished on 5 points, finished in 3rd place. I will play someone in Group B. There's another side of the qualifier tomorrow when they play their second set of games. I don't know who's going to qualify, but I'll deal with it tomorrow once it's clear who I'm playing, and I certainly will talk about it tomorrow on stream as well. So very important that I took care of business, and I do qualify. So I make it to the next round. I play the quarterfinal match starting on Thursday. As usual, you guys, there will be coverage on my channel when I'm playing starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. So definitely make sure to tune in on Thursday.